Welcome to the Underreported question and answer session. Our apologies for some technical difficulties there. Our sound guy wants you to know that he doesn't get paid, so he can't be fired. And with that, I don't know how much anybody heard, but we're basically here to answer your questions and to talk about the editorial process behind the show, because it's really important to us that we be as transparent as possible about what goes into our process. Nothing can be completely without bias, but our goal every week with every show is to stick to the mission of doing news without Trump, without panels, and without advertisements. So with that, we've got a great group of young journalists. So we do want to give a congratulations to the Houston Astros for winning the World Series last night. I'm actually going to start with Tyler because he's on the end here. He's rocking the most Houston Astros related equipment. I don't know if it's possible maybe to show Tyler for a second here, but he's got big hat on, big shirt, everything. He's a big guy, and we're just going to go into it. So first, Tyler, let's begin with you. News-wise, how do you feel about the Houston Astros winning the World Series last night?
I don't think that this is a feeling that you can recreate anywhere. I'm 20 years old. I've never seen one of my teams win a national title. Yeah, this is crazy. Houston hasn't had something big happen like this since the 90s, I believe. So, yeah, we built this city for rock and roll, and that's what Houston is. That's what Houston is feeling like right now. I'm glad to be from Texas, and I'm glad to be an Astros fan. Go Stros, go Altuve, go Carlos.
Yeah, that's news you won't hear anywhere else. Anyway, so now we're going to go over to your questions and comments. We received I believe it was a comment on Facebook suggesting that we cover the idea of net neutrality. I wanted to start by going over what net neutrality actually is. So we're going to begin over here with Gavin, who's got some thoughts on it, and we'll tell you about what we plan to do with that in the future.
Okay, so net neutrality is basically the government trying to step in and say what internet providers can and can't value, i.e. Netflix over Hulu in that sort of sense. So what we're doing right now is we're looking into this issue, gathering our information, and looking to get back with it with a decent story. So.
There you go. And, this week, something we do every week, we try and introduce new correspondents as part of the show. We have a whole roster, about a dozen folks from all around the country, including some right here in Huntsville. And we're going to turn now to Giovanna, who is going to be on the show for this next week for the very first time. Why don't you give the folks a little bit of a preview about what your story's about? You don't have to give them the whole thing. I want to make sure people watch, but then also talk about what it means to be on the air for the first time here in our 4th episode.
Hello. So, it's kind of coincidental because since our platform is Facebook, that's where you can see our show every week. My story has to do with, let's say, about media censorship within Facebook and for smaller news organizations around the world. And so if you stay tuned next week, you'll find out all about it.
There you go. We recognize we are saying that on Twitter right now, but, excuse us. We're now going to go over here to Madison. Madison, you've been on every week to this point so far. I won't spoil it as to whether or not you're going to be on next week. But why don't you talk to us about the process and one of the things I think is important about this show is it brings the opportunity to introduce correspondents to the national stage for the very first time. If you look at, where our viewers come from, they really come from all over. It's not just here in Texas. It's not even, just Texas and New York or something like that. I mean, we've got many people watching in Indiana as we do just about anywhere. So with that, Madison, why don't you talk about the experience of knowing that your piece, your story, and your coverage is being watched by a national audience beginning these past few weeks?
How I feel about it?
How you feel about it, exactly. How do you think you feel inside?
I love it because I dig deep for these stories. They're definitely not things that you would find on major headlines, so it means a lot that people are taking time out of their day to look at the stories that not just me, but all of us have come together and develop. And they're stories that are so important, but they're not necessarily being reported as they should be. And I think that's why this is such a great platform for us, because not every story can be the biggest story. So it's great that we can dig and find those stories so you guys don't have to, and we report them to you. So I think it's great, and I'm glad that people have seen them for the past 3 weeks, and this upcoming week is going to be just as great. So I'm really happy for the whole process.
Thank you. And, we're really looking forward to this show. I mean, every time it comes out, I wish y'all could have seen our editorial meeting here today just a few minutes ago. It got heated. I believe someone said, I think it was that same sound guy we almost fired, about how there was more heat in here than a flaming bag of Cheetos, something like that. Did I get that right, Zachary? So there you go. No, we really take this seriously. We're doing news as a public service, but it doesn't mean we're doing news without passion. And we really appreciate when everybody takes the time out to suggest to us stories or gives us comments, whatever it might be. people ask, excuse me, kind of what we look at, right? Do we look at, is it numbers? Is it, ratings driven? Is it about, likes or anything like that? And it's really not about any of those things, because, we have no advertisers. We have no one to answer to. We hope as many people as possible see it, but that's not what it's about. We do read the comments, though. We really appreciate when folks take the time to make suggestions, give us feedback, both positive and negative. Sometimes we get some nuts out there, but, that's the internet. And, just this week, we had that story about net neutrality. We had folks who want us to cover proposed cuts to housing, social safety programs. We have some people who want to talk about ecology. We have some people who talked about, I believe there was a story going around, I'm not sure whether it's true or not, I still have to look into it a little further, about whether 2 Senate candidates, I believe it was in the state of Idaho, might have been Montana, who were running against each other, but who might have been married. We get suggestions from all over the place. Again, we're still looking into that. I don't want to confirm that as fact. But, these things are going out there, and we appreciate when people take the time to reach out. We also appreciate, we get a number of requests from young people who want to be correspondents, who want to be Giovanna and Madison, want to be on our team, like Gavin and Tyler here. We really appreciate that too. We're probably going to open it up maybe in a month or two to really allow for people, if they're interested, if they think that they have what it takes to be a correspondent for the Underreported, to give them the time to reach out. But with that, again, we're sincerely grateful for everybody who takes the time to watch the show, takes the time to ask questions, comments, everything like that. And once again, we're the Underreported, and we're doing our absolute best. I'm getting the signal there that it's about time to wrap up. So once again, our sincere thanks, and we'll see you next week. Show comes out Tuesday at 7 p.m. On Facebook.com/RatherMartin. Thanks for your time. Have a great week.